platforming genre will always be one dear to me, in its ability to challenge one's mechanical skill, spatial awareness, and puzzle solving, whilst being able to explore unique and interesting landscapes. From personal loves such as the 2D showstoppers Celeste, Ori, and Shovel Knight, to the 3D masterpieces like Mario 64 and Crash Bandicoot, I thoroughly enjoy bounding through levels, peeking around every wall, and collecting everything possible. Well, almost everything possible. Boti Byteland Overclocked, Byteland for short, takes a good shot at this, but perhaps with an aiming sight that's a little bit off-centre. Developed by Purple Ray Studio, a Warsaw-based independent game development studio, this is their first major game project. Getting my hands on a brand new IP was a treat, and I couldn't wait to jump, punch, and slide through this bite-sized world. You take control of Boti, a cute little voiceless courier bot who has been freshly installed, set out to improve and maintain our PC. Under the command of the task manager, Colonel, we soon find ourselves in the midst of a crisis. Embarking on an adventure through the realms of the desktop, we battle baddies such as viruses, worms and glitches, whilst investigating the threat of a catastrophic shutdown to the system. Byteland's overall story is somewhat simple, but not the easiest to track, as plot progression dialogue is few and far between, and what is told perhaps could have been clearer. There is a fair amount of technical computer lingo which I'm not entirely au fait with, so there is a chance others would understand elements of the story easier than I. This did mean that for a while I felt I was simply punching and jumping through levels, going through the motions. Then, once the penny dropped, I said to myself, damn, should have seen that coming. But before long, I picked that penny right back up and was scratching my head at the end credits, wondering what just happened. During your adventure, you are assisted by two floating infobots, 1 and 0, that take on the classic trope of good and bad shoulder angel. I love this dynamic, as it will always remind me of the excellent angel duo that sit on Kronk's shoulders in the film Emperor's New Groove.
Reason number 2. Look what I can do.
What? What does that have to do with anything?
No. He's got a point.
1 and 0 have their moments, where they point out collectibles or points of interest nearby. The banter between them, however, got very repetitive and fast. Having more variation in their dialogue or unique discussions between them would have felt more refreshing, so even if the odd voice line was looped, it wouldn't have been so obvious. The cast of characters in general are a couple of handfuls in number, with each being voice acted. At times the voice clips felt jarring as they would cut off early or overlap into each other slightly, but in any case, it did give each bot that extra bit of personality.
Be careful. The power supply unit is a dangerous place. Bot speed, my friends.
I really enjoyed kernels in particular, an extremely clever way to represent the kernel of a computer, a program that generally has control of everything, as an army colonel commanding his bot troops.
Please ensure that your bots follow these instructions to the letter. This is a complex piece of code. There must not be a single bit out of place.
If you like collectibles, you will not be short of them. The game encourages you to smack literally everything you can see.
What the hell are you doing?
Larry!
Larry, you can't just... Oh,
Larry! Oh, are you alright? How did...
Larry!
There are two currencies in the game, megabytes and bot coins. You collect megabytes as data in order to unlock paths to progress in each level, and then in tandem with bot coins, you spend to upgrade yourself as well as on outfits and decor of your hub home. I did find the upgrade tree glitchy, as I managed to increase my health bar to max straight away. Then later in the game it continued to spend cash on already maxed out trees, whilst not spending it on another that I could afford. Hopefully just a simple patch job if I wasn't the only one that experienced this. Other collectibles include outfits, kernel recordings, and trophies from the many slide challenges. Your moveset is quite streamlined, with a minimalistic skill tree to invest into. Keeping things simple is no bad thing, as it then allows the player to focus on old school platforming without too many bells and whistles to hold your hand. However, I couldn't help but wonder if there was some scope at incorporating a few more moves or upgrades to give more variation to Boti's playstyle and manoeuvrability. You can either play using mouse and keyboard, or as I did, by using a controller. From the ever faithful dash to the ground clearing butt slam, movement does feel responsive and impactful. There were a couple of elements I did feel could have been improved on though. The ground pound does leave you immobile for a fraction of a second, which I felt ruined the flow of movement and left you briefly vulnerable. Also, having the ability to run faster would have been nice. I ended up utilising the jump dash to get around, as I found that there didn't seem to be a cooldown this way, whereas a dash along the ground did have one. For the most part, I thought that movement was tight, apart from the hovercraft elements of the game, which is a shame because the tracks and obstacles are a great design and are clearly built for speed. It felt like I was sliding around, pinballing off the walls, and able to take sharp corners to collect all the data or avoiding pitfalls.
True, just sit up straight. There, okay, no. Oh.
One ability I did like is the scanner, which is an incredibly helpful tool you pick up at the beginning of the game that allows you to scope the surroundings to easily see what to interact with. Green means collect me, or destroy to collect me, yellow is smackable or interactable, and red is a bad guy, which is also smackable. So in short, if there's a colour to it, punch it, at the risk of sounding like an American policeman. There is one drawback in that it seems to be on for a set time, even if you enter a cutscene.
Piece of work. Thanks for clearing them away.
Now, with every good platformer comes a soundtrack that elevates and enhances each level, whilst also ending up being so damn catchy you can't help but stick it on in the background whilst cooking dinner. Something that you enjoy listening to when you inevitably hear it again and again after each death, or when replaying for 100% completion. Byteland has a soundscape that does well to match the levels with its mix of synth and electronic beats. However, aside from the bop that is this hovercraft segment, I did think that a lot of the music just filled the silence, as opposed to elevating my experience of the levels. Visually, I really like the design of each component of the PC you explore. The vibrant colours and playful art style do bring the concept of internal PC parts to life. Though, it doesn't take long to notice striking similarities in both design and concept to Astrobot of PS5 fame. Purple Ray Studio are not asking players to leap very far for their comparisons. Performance was no issue, running at a smooth 70 to 80 frames per second. The user interface is simple and understandable, although the game seemed to read my inputs as if they were from a PlayStation controller as opposed to an Xbox one, such as having a big triangle instead of a Y to interact with objects. This, I'm sure, will be fixed. The HUD, I think, would have been helped with the addition of a progress bar for collectibles and bytes, to allow players to see if they have missed anything or have reached 3 stars before completing the level. Not that I felt difficulty was an issue. A tracker would have simply made things a little bit more accessible. In fact, I thought that the combat was pretty easy, as were the various puzzles, making Byteland very accessible for all ages. Replayability is a huge factor when it comes to platformers, especially those that include a plethora of collectibles.
Let's see that in an instant replay.
The hub world is a well-utilised feature to allow players to revisit each level, and it itself is immersive with more areas to unlock and explore. Another glitch, however, is that I could unlock every one of these post-game areas, seemingly for free, nullifying all my hard work at collecting most bot coins and thousands of bytes, which was rather disappointing. On the plus side, I can see this game being a dream for the speedrunning community and look forward to seeing what they can achieve. For the most part, I played solo, but there is an option to jump into the game with a friend locally or online. I hadn't realised that default setting was having my game open to all, so was blissfully unaware that whilst I was jumping around up on the higher path of one level, a random had joined my game, beat up innocent bots beneath me and scarpered off with my data, promptly accessing the yeet button.
Hey Terry, you want some? This bitch empty! Yeet!
I was very grateful to receive an advanced look at the game from the developers in order to review Byteworld via Steam. Completing the game on a casual run, collecting almost all bot coins, 3-starring most levels, and collecting all slide challenge trophies took me just under 10 hours. Overall, I felt that Byteworld really does have a lot of potential. Most issues I encountered were bugs or glitches that can easily be patched if not already at time of writing, as well as concepts that could be considered in future updates. As this was an advanced code of the full version, the developers are still working hard ironing out the bugs and are very responsive and open with the community. There are the components here of a charming platformer that at present feels a little rusty around the edges, but I can see really great things coming from the team at Purple Ray Studio in the future. For more bite-sized reviews, come on down to VGamingNews.